Today, I've prepared 2 watermelons of different shapes. Many people tend to cut them out of habit, but in reality, each shape calls for a different cutting method to make the fruit look appealing and easier to eat. In today's video, I'll share a few simple, quick, and easy-to-try tips for cutting watermelon right at home. Let's get started. First, I take the watermelon and cut off both ends. This step creates flat surfaces, making it easier to stabilize the melon on the cutting board and facilitating the subsequent cutting steps. Next, I cut the melon in half lengthwise. After halving it, I set one half aside and use only the other half for this first trick. Now, I cut off about 1/3 of that half melon. This piece is the perfect size for shaping while still retaining enough rind to serve as a decorative frame. Next comes the most important step. I use a knife to make a cut about 2 centimeters long at the top of the melon piece. Note that I don't cut all the way through. I leave the ends attached so the frame remains intact and doesn't fall apart. Then, I guide the tip of the knife along the curve, staying close to the white pith. I gently carve out an arched shape to separate the entire flesh from the rind. Working slowly and steadily ensures the flesh comes out in one piece while keeping the rind's shape attractive. Once separated, I place the carved-out flesh on the cutting board and slice it into relatively uniform, bite-sized pieces. These smaller pieces make it easy for everyone to enjoy the fruit without needing further cutting when served. After slicing, I arrange all the pieces back into the hollowed-out rind frame. This way, the melon retains its original shape, but is neatly divided into individual pieces inside. Now, I begin styling the melon. I gently push the slices alternately to the left and right, fanning them out like a small hand fan. With just one simple step, the plate of melon becomes far more visually appealing and appetizing. When it comes time to eat, guests can simply pick up a piece and enjoy it immediately. No further slicing required, making it both convenient and perfect for serving at parties or when hosting visitors at home. For tip number 2, I'm going to share a simple yet incredibly convenient way to cut watermelon, perfect for families with young children or for serving at parties. First, I'm using a watermelon segment similar in size to the one from the first tip. I place the segment face down on the cutting board so the rind faces upward. Positioning it this way ensures greater cutting precision and keeps the melon stable on the board. Next, I use a knife to make a straight cut along the white rind section. Be careful to cut only through the white layer. Don't go too deep, or you might cut into the red flesh inside. The goal here is to thin out the rind while leaving just enough of it to serve as a handle. After making the cut, I gently remove the thick green outer rind. With just a few quick moves, the rind is much more manageable, yet a small strip remains to provide a firm grip on each slice. Now, I place the melon back on the board and cut it into relatively uniform, bite-sized pieces. I slice from one end to the other to ensure the pieces look neat and are easy to pick up. Once finished, I simply arrange the slices on a plate, and it's ready to serve. You can see that each piece has a small strip of rind at the bottom, just the right size to hold. In my opinion, this is a very convenient cutting method. When eating, you simply hold on to that small strip of rind, avoiding the need to handle a long, awkward piece of rind typical of traditional cutting styles. This keeps your hands cleaner and makes eating a tidier experience, making it especially handy for gatherings, picnics, or when hosting guests. Tip number 3. The cutting method here is similar to the previous 2, but I'll change the arrangement to make the watermelon platter look more attractive and striking. First, I use a piece of watermelon similar in size to the ones used in the previous tips. I place it on the cutting board and slice it into even pieces. I try to keep the thickness consistent so that the overall arrangement looks balanced and aesthetically pleasing. Once sliced, I begin arranging the watermelon on the plate. However, this time I won't use the standard staggered layout. First, I place one slice on the plate as usual. Then, I take the next slice and rotate it so the rind faces outward and the red flesh faces toward the center. I position the two slices facing each other and repeat this process until all the slices are arranged. With just a slight change in the arrangement, the platter looks much more balanced and eye-catching. The slices alternate in opposing directions, creating a neat, distinctive look, like a carefully crafted presentation. In my opinion, this method is perfect for family meals, small gatherings, or when hosting guests. It's simple to do and requires no extra carving time, yet the change in layout makes the watermelon platter look far more appealing, while also making it easy for everyone to pick up a slice and enjoy it. Now, let's move on to the final tip. For this one, I'm using an oval-shaped watermelon to create a visually stunning presentation. First, I place the watermelon on the cutting board and slice it crosswise into two halves. Next, I take one half and place it cut side down on the board. This keeps the melon stable so it doesn't roll around, making the subsequent steps much easier to handle. Then, I cut this half in two again. From there, I divide the sections evenly to end up with 12 small pieces that are relatively equal in size and symmetrical. As I cut, I try to space the slices evenly so the finished pieces are uniform in size. This ensures the overall arrangement on the plate looks balanced and attractive. Once I have all 12 pieces, I gently transfer them to a large plate. Now comes the most exciting part, arranging the watermelon. Instead of facing all the pieces in the same direction, I alternate their orientation. I position one piece facing up, then skip one and place the next facing the opposite way. I simply alternate between facing up and facing down as I work my way around the plate. After completing the circle, you can see that the 12 pieces form a perfectly balanced shape. The alternating arrangement highlights the red flesh, creating an overall look that resembles the petals of a blooming flower. With just a few simple adjustments to how we cut and arrange it, we've transformed an ordinary watermelon half into a much more beautiful and appetizing fruit platter. This arrangement is particularly suitable for hosting guests, small parties, or family gatherings where you want the dining table to look polished without spending too much time on decoration. So, today, I've shared a few simple, beautiful, and easy-to-replicate ways to cut and arrange watermelon right at home. With just a few small changes to how you cut and present it, a familiar plate of watermelon can become much neater, more convenient to eat, and far more appealing. If you found these tips helpful, please hit the like button, share the video with friends and family, and subscribe to the Ruby Home channel to catch more great tips in future videos. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.